Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
I'm Alex,
And I'm Maya.
and we are ready to dive into another mountain of information.
Absolutely.
Today, we are tackling something that I think just about everybody listening is going to relate to,
Mm-hmm.
and that is decluttering your mind.
Yes.
I mean, everybody feels overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
your mind is just this messy, jumbled room.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Like,
Yeah.
where do you even begin?
Right. And the thing is, we're not alone.
No, not at all.
We've got a whole stack of articles here.
Yeah.
From places like Zen Habits, True Worth Wellness,
Okay.
Medium,
Forbes.
even Forbes,
Okay.
all looking at different perspectives on how to get some mental clarity.
I think that's something that a lot of people are looking for these days.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like a constant state of overwhelm for a lot of us.
It really is.
And what I find so fascinating is that even though the approaches vary in all these articles, there's this common thread.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The idea that decluttering your mind, it's not just some fluffy self-help concept.
Right.
It's actually very deeply connected to your well-being, your productivity, even your physical health.
I mean, that makes sense, but let's start with the why. Why
sure.
should anybody care about decluttering their mind?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is it just about, like, wanting to feel less stressed?
I mean, stress is a big part of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're all dealing with that.
But it's got to be more than that, right?
It is. It is, because when you look at the negative impacts of mental clutter, they're pretty significant.
Like what?
Increased anxiety, difficulty focusing, you're feeling overwhelmed constantly, you're less productive. Some of the articles even connect it to physical health problems.
Oh, wow.
Like insomnia, digestive issues.
So it's not just like an inconvenience. It's actually affecting our lives in some pretty big ways.
Absolutely. It can really impact our overall well-being.
Okay, so that's the bad news. What's the good news?
The good news is we don't just have to accept this as our reality.
Okay.
These sources, they all offer these practical steps that you can take to tidy up that mental space and actually experience the benefits. And those benefits, they range from greater peace of mind, better focus, to improved productivity, even stronger relationships.
So where do we even begin?
Right.
Because I'm already feeling overwhelmed thinking about decluttering my mind.
I get
It feels like a huge EE undertaking.
it. Can feel that way, but a really good place to start, and something that several of the articles emphasize, is decluttering your physical space.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So cleaning my desk is going to make my mind feel less cluttered.
It sounds counterintuitive.
It does.
But there's actually a really strong connection between the two.
Right.
One of the Medium articles that we have quotes a wellness coach, Carlos Vetterassi,
Okay.
and he says, "Clutter in my environment is a reflection of my internal environment."
That's interesting.
So if your desk is a disaster, your mind might feel like a disaster too.
I can kind of see that.
Have you ever noticed that sense of calm
Yeah?
you get after you clean and organize a space?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's not about being a neat freak.
Right.
It's about recognizing that visual clutter takes up mental energy, even if we don't realize it. Our brains are constantly processing information.
Yeah.
So if our physical space is chaotic,
Right.
it adds to the mental load that we're carrying.
Okay.
It's like having a million tabs open in your brain.
I like that.
If your physical space is cluttered,
Right.
it's like having all these tabs open in your brain, draining your battery.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
Okay, so physical decluttering is a good first step.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, several of the articles highlight the power of making decisions as a key to decluttering the mind.
Okay.
And there's this quote that really stuck with me from the Forbes article. It's by a professional organizer, Scott Rower.
Okay.
He says, "Clutter is simply delayed decisions."
Wow.
Pretty insightful, right?
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But it makes perfect sense.
Right.
So all that stuff that I'm putting off deciding on is actually adding to the mental noise?
Exactly. And the longer we put those decisions off, the more they weigh on us.
Okay.
Think about those little nagging thoughts that pop up throughout the day, like, I need to call the dentist, or I should really organize that closet.
Oh, yeah.
Each one of those is taking up valuable mental real estate.
It's like having a bunch of apps running in the background of your phone.
Yeah.
Draining the battery.
Exactly.
So how do we combat this?
Well, the Keith brothers,
Sorry.
who are also quoted in that Forbes article, they suggest a method called WRAP for making decisions.
WRAP.
We won't go into all the details right now.
Okay.
But it's basically a framework for breaking down those decisions into more manageable steps
Got it.
and making those choices with more confidence and clarity.
I think we should do a whole deep dive on wrap sometime.
Yeah, I think that'd be really helpful.
But speaking of things that clutter our minds, let's talk about the to-do list.
Oh, yeah, the dreaded to-do list.
Mine just seems to constantly be growing.
I know, me too.
No matter how many things I check off.
It's never ending.
How do we tame that beast?
Well, there are some really practical tips that the sources offer.
Okay.
The Zen Habits article, for example, really emphasizes writing things down immediately.
Okay.
Not just putting them on a to-do list for later, but actually getting them out of your head onto a paper or into a digital note as soon as they pop up.
So basically like offloading those to-dos to free up some mental RAM.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That way, you're not using precious brain power trying to remember everything.
Right.
And then once you have it all captured, you can start to prioritize,
Okay.
break down those tasks into smaller, more manageable steps.
This is already making me feel more organized.
I know. It's amazing how much just that simple act of writing things down can help.
Totally.
But let's be real. For a lot of us, a major source of mental clutter is the digital world.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're constantly plugged in, bombarded with information 24/7.
24/7.
And this brings us back to Carlos Federasi,
Okay.
the wellness coach from that Medium article.
Right.
He says, and I quote, "Useless information is the best way to create brain fog."
Ooh, that's a good one.
And he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Think about all the time that we spend
Oh, my gosh. So much time.
scrolling through social media, reading news headlines, checking emails.
Yes.
How much of that information is actually useful
We're relevant.
or relevant to our lives?
Not much.
Right.
I'm already feeling guilty about my social media habits.
I understand it's a real struggle,
It is.
but we're not powerless.
Okay, so what can we do about it?
The sources offer some practical tips for what they call a digital detox.
A digital detox.
And don't worry, it's not as extreme as it sounds.
All right, tell me more about this digital detox.
Well, it starts with being mindful of our digital consumption, maybe setting specific times for checking social media, or maybe designating certain days as social media free, or like you were saying, being more selective about the news sources that we follow.
Oh, yeah.
Choose a few reliable outlets that align with your values and just stick with those.
Yeah.
Instead of getting caught up in that constant stream of headlines.
Right, and a lot of times those are negative headlines.
Exactly. It's easy to get overwhelmed by all of that negativity.
Especially these days.
Especially these days. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And you know what else we could do?
What's that?
Unsubscribe from those email lists that we never read.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Like, I swear, half my inbox is promotional emails that I never open.
It's like digital clutter.
It is.
It's just taking up space.
Yeah.
And speaking of freeing up space,
Okay.
beyond those practical steps, what about those more mindful or internal practices?
I was just thinking about that. Okay, so I've cleaned my desk. I'm making decisions. I've tamed my inbox.
Right.
But how do I actually quiet that mental chatter?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's where these simple but powerful practices come in.
Okay.
And the great thing is they're actually pretty easy to incorporate into your daily routine.
Like what?
Well, one that's emphasized across several of the sources is the power of breathing.
Breathing.
Yeah.
But we do that all the time.
Right. But conscious, deep breathing can instantly change your state.
Really?
Yeah, it calms the nervous system, it lowers stress hormones, and it really helps shift your focus to the present moment.
Okay.
And when your focus is on the present moment, you're not dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, which are major contributors to mental clutter.
So you're talking about more than just like taking a quick breath when we're feeling stressed.
Exactly. It's about those intentional deep breathing exercises.
Got it.
So give yourself a few minutes each day to just focus on your breath.
What else?
Another powerful practice that comes up in several of the articles is journaling.
Journaling.
And it's not just about writing down your to-do list or what you ate for breakfast. Right. It's about processing emotions, exploring your thoughts and feelings, getting things out of your head and onto paper.
Okay.
Think of it as a way to declutter your internal landscape.
I've tried journaling in the past, but I always felt like I didn't know what to write.
I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
The key is to not overthink it.
Okay.
Just start writing whatever comes to mind, even if it's just a stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
You might be surprised at what emerges.
Okay.
When you give yourself permission to just let it all out.
Just let it all out.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got breathing, we've got journaling. What else can we do to create that sense of mental spaciousness?
Well, this one might seem obvious, but spending time in nature.
Being outside.
Yeah, there's just something about being in nature that helps us feel More grounded.
I totally agree.
More centered, more connected to something bigger than ourselves.
I definitely feel that.
Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, yeah. Like when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, a walk in the park can just do wonders.
Totally.
What is it about nature that has that calming effect on our minds?
That's a good question.
There's actually a growing body of scientific evidence that supports the benefits of nature for our mental and physical well-being.
Really?
Yeah, studies have shown that spending time in nature can reduce stress hormones, lower blood pressure, and boost our mood.
It's like nature has this innate ability to just soothe our souls.
I think so.
And quiet those racing thoughts.
It's like a reset button for the mind.
I like that, a reset button. Okay, so we've talked about breathing, journaling, nature. What else?
Any other practices?
Well, one that's often overlooked is cultivating gratitude.
Gratitude?
Yeah, it might sound simple, even cliche,
Right.
but intentionally shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have can have a profound impact when we're grateful for the good things in our lives. It's harder for those negative, cluttered thoughts to take over.
It's like we're replacing those mental weeds with beautiful flowers.
I love that analogy.
So we've got breathing, journaling, nature, gratitude. What else can we add to our mental decluttering toolbox?
Well, all of these techniques are fantastic for creating space in our minds.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need to actually let go of things that are weighing us down.
That's a good point.
It's about recognizing that we're holding on to mental baggage.
Okay.
Past hurts, regrets, grudges that aren't serving us.
Right.
One of the sources quotes Roy T. Bennett, who says, if you want to fly, you have to give up what weighs you down.
Oh, I like that.
That's a powerful image, right?
It is.
But how do we actually do that?
Yeah, letting go seems so abstract.
It's definitely a process, and it's not always easy.
Right.
But some of those same techniques that we've already talked about, like journaling, can be really helpful for working through those emotions and starting to release their hold on us. And another suggestion that resonated with me was the idea of sharing our thoughts and feelings with someone we trust.
Talking it out.
Yeah, sometimes just voicing those things can help us to let them go.
It's like we're taking those heavy boxes out of the attic of our minds.
Yeah.
And sharing the load with someone else.
I like that. It really lightens the burden.
Totally.
But speaking of letting go, there's another habit that we need to address if we truly want to declutter our minds.
Okay, what's that?
Multitasking.
Yeah, you're telling me multitasking isn't the key to productivity?
I know, it's a tough one to let go of.
It is.
But research suggests that only about 2.5% of people can actually multitask effectively.
What?
Yeah!
Are you serious?
For the rest of us, multitasking is actually counterproductive. It divides our attention, it increases stress, and it ultimately leads to lower quality work.
It hurts a little.
I know, it's a hard truth to accept.
Yeah.
But I think when you really think about it, trying to do a million things at once, it definitely contributes to that feeling of mental clutter.
It's like trying to juggle too many balls at once.
Exactly.
You're bound to drop some.
Yeah, eventually something's going to fall.
So the sources are advocating for single tasking.
Yes, focusing on one task at a time, giving it your full attention.
Right.
And when you're fully present with a task, not only are you more productive, but you're also more likely to enjoy the process.
So ditching the myth of multitasking and embracing the power of focus.
Exactly.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Good.
But realistically, in our world, how can we actually implement all of these decluttering techniques?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And honestly, there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Of course not.
It's about finding what works for you.
Right.
Making small, sustainable changes over time.
Okay.
Maybe you start by decluttering your workspace and just see how that impacts your mental clarity. Or you commit to a 5-minute breathing exercise each morning.
Okay.
The key is consistency.
So small steps, big impact.
Exactly. I like that.
It's about progress, not perfection.
And I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners.
I agree.
You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight.
Right.
Just choose one or two things from this deep dive that resonate with you and start there.
Exactly. Start small and build from there.
And remember, decluttering your mind is a journey.
Yeah.
It's not a destination.
And like any journey, it's best to pack light
Right.
and travel at your own pace.
Totally. So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
I'm already feeling inspired to declutter my mind.
Me too.
What about you?
I'm really trying to be more mindful of single tasking I catch myself multitasking all the time.
Yeah.
And I know it's not serving me well.
Right.
So my goal is to be more intentional about focusing on one thing at a time.
I love that.
And really being present with it.
I think that's a great goal.
And it ties into this idea of intentionality, which seems to be like a recurring theme in these articles.
It really does.
Whether we're talking about our physical space, our digital lives, our internal world, it's about making conscious choices that support a clearer, calmer state of mind.
Absolutely. It's not about achieving some perfect, thought-free state.
Right.
Because let's face it, that's not realistic for most of us.
No.
But rather about cultivating a mental environment where we have the space to focus on what truly matters.
That's a great way to put it.
Thank you.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to hear from you.
Yes.
Think back to all the techniques and insights we've explored today. What resonated with you the most?
What sparked a little light bulb in your mind?
Yeah. What made you think, yeah, I could actually try that?
Share your aha moment in the comments below.
We love hearing from you.
And while you're there, don't forget to hit that like button.
And subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on future deep dives.
We've got a ton of fascinating topics coming your way.
We do.
Exploring everything from the science of happiness to the latest breakthroughs in technology.
And everything in between.
And everything in between.
Speaking of fascinating topics, next week we're diving into something that I think will resonate with just about everyone.
Oh, what's that?
The sneaky joy stealers that we call guilt, complaints, and anxiety.
Oh, those are good ones.
So in episode 4, do you want to be happy? Then avoid GCA. Guilt, complaints, and anxiety.
Catchy title.
We'll be exploring how these 3 elements can really clutter our minds and steal our happiness. And we'll share practical tips for breaking free from their grip.
So mark your calendars.
And hit that notification bell so you don't miss it.
Until then, keep those minds curious.
Those to-do lists manageable.
And those inboxes clean.
And remember, you have the power to declutter your mind.
You do.
And create a life that feels more spacious, peaceful, and fulfilling.
See you next time on The Deep Dive.